everyone. I am Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. This is the first ever episode of the Judges Corner. This is going to be an awesome show. This is going to be one of the best shows on the planet. And I'm joined by Coach Dante, and the King is in the house as well. The court is in session, fellas. What's going on tonight? How's everybody feeling?
Oh man, it's going awesome, bro. It's going awesome. Appreciate you for having me on the Sports Judge every night, man. Every Friday night, man. I'm so blessed, so honored to be up here with both of you guys in the Sports Empire Network. Let's get it going.
That's right. That's right, man. I appreciate you for being here also, man. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to get finally get on the show. So I'm here to, put everything out there. You feel me? So let's go. Let's do it. Let's get it.
Let's go. And I'm delighted to have our viewers with us tonight. For those who are watching, I appreciate it. We thank you guys for the love and support. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to dive into today. We got to talk about the AFC and NFC championship game. We got to talk about Frank Reich getting hired again. He wasn't standing in the unemployment line for a very long time. He got a job fairly quick. We got to get into that. We got to get into Aaron Rodgers. Will he be a Green Bay Packer next season? Will he even play football next season? Or will he land with the New York Jets? We got plenty to talk about. But first, I want to get into the AFC and NFC championship game because that's what everybody is talking about this weekend. And, I mean, we got two exciting matchups. I think both of these games have a chance to be low-scoring games. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think when you look at the NFC championship game, which is going to be a very, very good game, by the way, both of those teams have great defenses, right? So I don't expect it to be a lot of scoring. And I know a lot of fans nowadays, they like to see scoring. Everybody like to see scoring. They like to see teams pile up the scoreboards. What is your thoughts on the NFC championship game, King? I want to get your thoughts and your perspective on it.
It's going to be a tough game. It really is. But I think initially it will be. I've been saying the entire time on my show, Truth Be Told Sports Podcast, that the Philadelphia Eagles have been the best team in the NFC the entire, if not the NFL, the entire season. The couple games that Jalen Hurts was hurt. Gardner Minshew came in and he couldn't fill that void, but it didn't really take away anything from the Philadelphia Eagles. San Francisco kind of snuck in a little bit. They started off pretty slow, but they gained some speed. But the problem is Philadelphia has been good consistently all year. They are back to being healthy, week 1 healthy, but they're playing as good as they were playing in week 7. So I'm taking Philadelphia by at least 14, 31-17.
I'm with you there. And Jalen Hurts has been the breakout player of the year. He's been amazing. Like I always say, he can hurt you in a variety of ways, particularly with his legs and his feet. And he's just poised. But what I like about Jalen Hurts and what a lot of people notice about him is his leadership. Man. He has shown time and time again that he's a leader of men. That's what I like about Jalen Hurts. So he has put together a very impressive campaign by leading this Eagles team. Now let's see if he can get them to the Super Bowl, which will be very incredible if he can do that. But Hurts has been very important to Philly's success this season. And, we were all worried about the shoulder. That's what everybody was talking about. That there was much concern about his shoulder. How will he hold up in the game? And he looked fine. He looked fine out there. It didn't look like the shoulder was bothering him that much. He was able to make his throws down the field. He made an impact on the game. And I like what we've seen from Jalen Hurts this season. Coach, I want to get your thoughts on this game. What do you think about this NFC championship matchup and how will this game look on Sunday?
I think, man, I've been saying it all week long. I think it really is going to turn into a chess match. DeMeco Ryans is a great defensive coordinator. He's soon to be, getting a job for my Houston Texans for where it's looked like, regardless of how this NFC championship or if he gets to the Super Bowl, Philly, that's where he's heading to. But other than that, DeMeco Ryans is going to put his defense in some good type of situations. But to me, what I'm interested in Can the 49ers stop the run game? If they can stop the running game and make Jalen Hurts pretty much beat him with his arm, I think that plays right into San Francisco's hands if they can stop the running game. But the problem – it's hard to stop. It's hard. People, not too many teams haven't been able to stop that running game. That running game has been dominant all year long. They got the best offensive line in football. I think, after this year, Miles Sanders, I don't see him being a Philadelphia Eagle. I see his stock is going to go up for us that free agency mark, but he's been a big key to the Eagles' success. And if you want to stop the run, I think they can also throw the ball. But again, the weakness of the San Francisco defense is the secondary. That's the weakness of the San Francisco defense. So if San Francisco can just make Jalen Hurts one-dimensional, I think that plays more in San Francisco's hands. But if the Eagles could run the football, control time of possession, keep Brock Purdy and that offense off the field, I think the Eagles will have a shot to eat. That plays right into the Philadelphia Eagles' hands. So at the end of the day, man, like I said, I'm taking the 49ers by at least a field goal. I think they got to stop the running game. If they can stop the running game and make Jalen Hurts a passer, I think that's what the 49ers kind of got them at. And the key for Philadelphia, if they can run the football, that's the key to their success. But I think DeMeco Ryans going to put his team in some situations, some good situations. They got the best, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. Fred Warner is the top 5 linebacker in the league. You got a good defensive line who can get pressure on the quarterback. You got a run-stopping defensive line. So I'm going to be interested in seeing that defensive line, that offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles clash and go at it.
And you mentioned their run game, right? That's their foundation. I feel like when their run game is working, particularly early in the game, and they are able to set the tone with their ability to run the football, I feel like that's when the Eagles have the most success. But their offense is loaded with talent. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, each have recorded 1,000-plus yard campaigns. And then you talk about running back Miles Sanders, what he's been able to do. He has topped the 1,000-yard mark as a rusher. And Philly's defense also plays a large role in their success. I think it's going to come down to defense. I really do. You got Brandon Graham. You got Josh Sweat. You got 2 great ball hawking defenders in that secondary of theirs as well. And this defensive unit ranks in the top in just about all categories. So, I mean, I think it's gonna come down to defense. This is when we will see who Brock Purdy really is. I think this is when we will learn more about Brock Purdy having to face a tough smash mouth football team like the Eagles. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. But the 49ers, I like the 49ers to win this game. And let me explain why I like the 49ers to win this game. It's hard to find a more well-rounded, battle-tested football team than the 49ers. The 49ers are well coached. Kyle Shanahan, he knows how to figure out teams. He knows how to prepare for teams. He knows how to adjust to their style of play. And this 49ers team is no stranger to adversity. San Francisco has been able to overcome a lot this season. They've dealt with injuries. 2 of their starting quarterbacks went down to injuries, and they've never flinched. Kyle Shanahan, he never flinched in those situations. He just found a way to prepare each week and make sure his team was ready to go. And that's what we've seen. And now you see Mr. Irrelevant, who has suddenly become Mr. Relevant, Brock Purdy. What a season he's having so far. I know he came on board late in the season and he took over late in the season, but it's still impressive. This is a guy who is very poised. This is a guy who has that moxie, and he is playing like a seasoned veteran. I mean, he's distributing the ball to a star-studded cast. There's not a lot of pressure on his shoulders because you have Christian McCaffrey who's able to run the ball. And that's right there. That tells you everything about the 49ers. They're deep. They're loaded. They have too many offensive weapons, and they can hurt you in so many ways. You have Deebo Samuel. Debo Samuel, and George Kittle. And I feel like George Kittle is going to have a breakout game because a lot of people are not talking about George Kittle. And with all the attention that's going to be on Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, somebody's going to be left open. And that guy could be George Kittle. And you talk about DeMeco Ryans, who I feel is very deserving of a head coaching job. The defense is one of the best defenses in the league. And I mean, it has provided pressure on offenses. It has made the 49ers young quarterback's job a lot easier. And I just like the 49ers in this game. I'm going with the 49ers to win this game. I'm going with the 49ers to win the game by a field goal. I think it's going to come down to a late game field goal. Robbie Gould, he's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. He's made a lot of kicks in his lifetime, and I feel he's going to come in a clutch situation and boot a kick from the distance, and it's going to clear the upright rights, and they're going to win the game. I'm not going to give a final score, but I do like the 49ers, and that's not to take anything away from Jalen Hurts because I feel like this Eagles team has had a great year. But I will say this: if this game go to overtime, it can go either way.
Yeah,
it
for sure.
Go either way. But to me,
sure.
both of these teams are evenly matched. Both of these teams are well coached. Both of these teams have had phenomenal years, and unfortunately, somebody has to lose, and then fortunately, somebody will win. But I got the 49ers winning this game. I think the 49ers are more battle tested. I think they'll be ready for whatever comes their way. And I think that defense will throw the kitchen sink at Jalen Hurts. I think they'll make it very difficult for him. I think they'll be able to disrupt the passes. I think they'll be able to control the tempo and control probably, I will say, probably at least the final 2 quarters of the game. Because that's what we've seen. The 49ers have played good football, particularly late, not only in the season, but in the second half of games as well.
Right. I agree with you, man. I mean, I could see it going that way, but Philly's defense is too stingy, in my opinion. And then, we talk about Brock Purdy, and, his story, it makes for a great story, Mr. Irrelevant, taking over a starting quarterback of a storied franchise and being the first, could be the first rookie to lead his team into the Super Bowl, right? It makes for a great story, but this is, like you said, this is where we're gonna see what Brock Purdy is, and I don't think he's right there ready. That Philadelphia defense, especially that secondary, is very stingy and is gonna cause some problems for him.
And what's gonna be, to me, another deciding factor of the game, who wins the turnover battle. I think turnovers is going to come into play in this game since you got 2 very good stingy defenses that love to get after the quarterback. But the only thing, the Eagles got a better secondary too. So you got to put that in mind. They can't cover somebody. So it'll be a very solid matchup. This a lot of people got this predicted is probably the game that everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see this game. Who's the best in the NFC, because the NFC, kind of like almost been up and down this year. You got the AFC, you got so many good teams in the AFC fighting and stuff like that. The AFC has been a juggernaut, been like the West of the NBA. That's what every good quarterback in the AFC. But this is the matchup that everybody really wants to see. Can Brock Purdy lead his team to the Super Bowl? Can Brock Purdy not turn the ball over and in good situations? Can he protect the football? Can the 49ers run the football on the Philadelphia Eagles? I think they really could. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think they got a stout running game. I think they have the tendencies of stopping the run, but I don't think they got a stout running game. They don't got a stout running game. I've seen a lot of too many teams run against them this year. They had a weakness in the running game, and they need to do better tackling on the open field. They don't do a very good job in tackling. So this is going to be a very good matchup, and my interest is to see who's going to win the turnover battle. Whoever creates the most turnovers is going to come out winning this game.
I'm astounded by Purdy. I'm astounded by his poise and he's very unflappable. The guy is very calm out there, and nothing seems to rattle him particularly in the big moments, he always has that attitude. Okay, bring it. I'm made for this moment. I'm built for this. I can handle the bright lights, and that's what continues to amaze me with him. And he's still young, but you got to also realize that Kyle Shanahan makes it work for any quarterback in his system because it's a quarterback friendly system. It would be interesting to see how Brock Purdy would fare in another system or with another coach, but it works for Kyle Shanahan and it works for the 49ers, and I can't wait to see that game. But fellas, we're going to move on to the AFC Championship game. This is another game that is must-see TV. This is another compelling matchup because you got the Bengals versus the Chiefs. And the Bengals, man, they got hot at the right time. They got hot at the right time, but the health of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes will command the greatest attention this week, and in fairness, because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best quarterback in the league, and everyone's concerned about his ankle and how will he perform against the Bengals. But I'm gonna hand it over to you guys, man. I'm gonna let you guys have the floor, and I want to hear from you, Coach. What do you think? How you think this matchup is gonna be, and who do you have winning this game, the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, well, last time we talked about this, Jonathan, me and you, the last podcast, I picked the Bengals, and I'm going to stay with the Bengals. I think because any shot like Jaguars, Patrick Mahomes kind of got away with that last week, hobbling up and down. I don't think he gets away with it this week. I think you're playing a better team at this stage. You're playing a hot team. You're playing a hot defense. That secondary for Cincinnati put that Buffalo Bills wide receivers on lock. They were on lockdown. They couldn't get open. Gabriel Davis didn't show up. Stephon Diggs didn't show up at all. I'm starting to think when I was looking at the game, was Stephon Diggs even playing? I forgot he was even playing football because I couldn't really even find him. This secondary is really good. They got a good defensive line. DJ Reader, Hendrickson, linebacking core. Wilson is pretty solid on the linebacking core. And what shocked me the most was the offensive line. They did very good. Only one sack given up. When was the last time the Cincinnati Bengals gave up one sack on Joe Burrow? They protected him pretty well. They got the ball. They schemed up some good plays for Joe Burrow to get the ball out of his hands quick. The receivers were able to get open, and that running game was able to get going. Once that running game got going early and that offensive line started protecting Joe Burrow, it was no way in hell that the Buffalo Bills could win this game. Now, I said it to myself. They was able to run the ball early, control the game, the whole entire ball game, and that's what I think they can do against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you can run the ball on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Jaguars stopped running against them. With Travis Etienne had momentum. He only had 10 carries, but he had 62 yards. So when he was able to get carries, he was able to run it effectively. And I think with Pete Rod and Joe Mixon coming downhill, I think they can be able to run the ball against this defense. Also, they got the weapons that Joe Burrow can get the ball out to get it out on the boundary against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. But again, like I say, I got the Bengals, man. I think that ankle injury is going to come into play this game. I like the defense. I like the momentum. I like everything about the Bengals right now. So I'm going to stay with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the hot hand, and they're going to win this game.
Those are all fair points. And, you mentioned Mahomes, and Mahomes did gut his way through a high ankle sprain in Saturday's divisional round. I don't think he'll have that luck this time around. I don't know how effective he will be because look, Mahomes is a very mobile quarterback, right? He needs he needs to be 100% if the Chiefs are to win this game, because if he's not 100%, then he won't be able to scramble. He won't be as mobile as he usually is. And I feel like when he's not mobile, then he's not as efficient as a quarterback. And that's a huge part of his game, even though he doesn't really like to run like a Josh Allen or like a Lamar Jackson. But he would be greatly limited, right? on what he can do. And we saw that last week against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills defense, unfortunately, just fell asleep and didn't show up when it mattered the most. But the Chiefs are viewing this game as a chance for vindication. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think they lose consecutive years to the Bengals. Remember, a year ago, they lost 27-24 in overtime to the Bengals in last year's AFC Championship game. I think that happens again this week. But we know the Chiefs are well accustomed to the pressure they'll face this weekend. The Chiefs have played in big games like this. Kelsey is having a phenomenal year, just an historic season. It's amazing what he's been able to do out there and the numbers that he's put up. Arguably the best tight end in the NFL today, and probably will go down as the greatest tight end in NFL history at this rate. But I gotta go with the Bengals. Look, the Bengals have unfinished business. I think that's been the theme for them all season long. They shocked the NFL world last season. They were those cute, cuddly tigers last season. Remember? They were one of the sweetest stories in football. It was bittersweet. A year ago, it was cute and it was nice and all. But this year, the expectations weigh heavily on the Bengals. The Bengals got off to a slow start. Then they started to pick up some steam as the season went on, and they were able to get back on track. And this team, the best way to define this team season is resilience, toughness, and tenacity. That's what we've seen from the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team that never lets up. This is a team that barely takes their foot off the gas pedal. This is a team that can be down 21-0, and they will claw their way back into a game and find a way to take the game away from you. That's how good they were. A lot of people viewed last season's success as a fluke. But when you look at what that man Joe Burrow is doing, that is incredible. Joe Burrow, to me, is elevating his game to a whole nother level. What Joe Burrow is doing is hard to put into words, because Joe Burrow could be that next guy to take over this league. And I think he has elevated above Josh Allen. I think he has elevated above Lamar Jackson. I think what we're seeing from Joe Burrow is a guy who not only brings the swagger, but he also brings that elite toughness. He's an elite level quarterback. He's playing like an elite level quarterback. This is a guy who has survived, in front of a shoddy offensive line. The offensive line wasn't that great last year. They gotten better this year. But I do like this Cincinnati Bengals team. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals team. And what a lot of people don't talk about is their defense. That defense, to me, is an underrated defense. Jesse Bates. I mentioned Jesse Bates because he's one of the top safeties in the league. But no one ever talks about him. No one shows appreciation for what the guy can do in that secondary. That secondary is one of the best in the NFL. But no one ever talks about the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think they're cool with that. I think they're okay being the underdogs. I think they embrace that role, because then there's not as much pressure on them. And they go out there and they do their thing. They go out there, they win football games. And winning has become fun in Cincinnati. So I got to go with the Bengals. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to be 100%, but I'm riding with the Bengals. I think the Bengals go back to the Super Bowl. I think they're on this magical run again. They can't be beaten right now. They're hot. They found that winning formula, and they have demonstrated staying power. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've seen from them. So I'm going with the Bengals.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can see that too. This game, in my opinion, is going to come down to the health of Patrick Mahomes. If he can go, then it's gonna change the landscape of the game. Because the offense is conducive to like him running around that offense and making things happen, buying time, getting the receivers open downfield. If he can do that, then Kansas City has a chance. I'm gonna agree with the coach, and I'm agree with you also, John, that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose this game to Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, they are getting hot at the right time and playing really good football right now. Last week, everyone was saying, okay, well, they're missing 3 offensive linemen against this Buffalo defense, and those guys stood up and stood tall and did what they had to do, and probably even played like the best offensive line that played that entire season, right there with those. And if they can do that against the Kansas City Chiefs, they're gonna do great. They're gonna do great. You mentioned the secondary. You mentioned the Bengals defense. They are low key really good, even with Eli Apple. Like I don't care for that guy too much, but I really don't care for that. You know, as a Giants fan, I don't like him at all. But even with him in that lineup, they've been doing pretty well. So it's going to come down, if Patrick Mahomes is healthy and he can go, it's going to come down to a defensive stop. And I will put more money on that defensive stop coming from the Bengals than the Chiefs. I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you who's in the Chiefs all secondary, but I know they're about to get torched by the wide receiver core from the Bengals. You got Jamar Chase, who's a man amongst boys. You have Tyler Boyd, you know what I'm saying? You have all these guys that are out there, T. Higgins. You have all these guys that are going to cause so many problems for that secondary of the Chiefs. And if Patrick Mahomes is not healthy enough to go and put up, keep up the pace, they can either get blown out or it's going to be probably like a close game. But like I said, it's always going to come down to the health of Patrick Mahomes. And it's very hard to go against light-skinned Jesus, but I'm taking Joe Cool.
Yeah, I'm taking Joe Cool as well. And if the Chiefs do somehow pull out the victory, it would come down to this: protecting Patrick Mahomes. They have to protect Patrick Mahomes, and they have to get strong contributions from running backs Isaiah Pacheco. I always say his name wrong. And McKinnon. McKinnon's going to have to step up too. That's going to ease some of the pressure, on their hobbled quarterback. So that's going to be key as well. But I think even if they play well, I think the Bengals offense will be a little bit too much for the Chiefs defense to handle, because I think that offense just has too many weapons, and Joe Burrow has too many weapons at his disposal. You mentioned that wide receiver corp. That wide receiver room of theirs is deep. It might be the deepest in the NFL, because you got all them guys out there, and he can share the ball, and he can and with all those weapons that Joe Burrow has, that allows him to spread the field a bit more. And that's what he does. He's a quarterback who can spread the field because he has all those weapons at his disposal. And there are so many options for him out there. You got Jamar Chase. Chase has just emerged into one of the top receivers in this league. Everyone was talking about what Justin Jefferson was doing, and clearly forgot about what Jamar Chase has been doing. But Jamar Chase has been balling. Okay, let me tell you, that brother has been balling. So it's time to put some respect on his name. And I think this Bengals team has put the rest of the league on notice. Not just for this season, but going into next season too. Because this team is still going to be scary good next season as well. So I got the Bengals winning. I think they're the more complete team. I think they're hot at the right time. I think they're opportunistic. And I think they're just the overall better team than the Chiefs going into this weekend. They got more talent in that receiver room as well. So, fellas, we're going to move on now. We're going to stay with the NFL, though. We got the first coaching hire so far this season. And Frank Reich is no longer standing in the unemployment line. Now, I think this is a good hire for the Carolina Panthers. I think this is a smart move. I think the Carolina Panthers did a good job by hiring Frank Reich. I like Frank Reich. I think he's a great guy. I think he could be a little conservative at times. I think he can, shoot himself in the foot and be a liability to his team because of his questionable play calling at times. But the dude, if he's not acting like a fool, he's a genius. He's a genius. You know, this is a guy who can go from a top 10 coach to a bottom 5 coach, depending on what week it is. We've seen that with Frank Wright. And sometimes he keeps defenses guessing because of his ability to call plays. So we know he's going to be handling the play calling in Carolina. Guys, what do you think about this hire? I liked it when I first heard it. My initial reaction to it was the Panthers made the right move. King, let me get your thoughts on this.
Of course, it's a great hire. Anybody that's better than the guy that was already in Carolina right now, it's going to be better. Frank Reich, I just find it really, I think it's pretty cool that he was the first quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in the history of that franchise, and now he's taking over the reins as a head coach. As you say, he can be very conservative, which is kind of risky to be playing in that the NFC South. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how that works out. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited to see what they do beyond this with Carolina. I don't follow them too much, but I think it's a really good hire.
I'm gonna go on the other end of this. I thought they should have gave Steve Wilks an opportunity. Down the stretch to be one game up out of the playoff hunt. It comes down to losing against Tampa Bay. I mean, I think it's an okay hire. The problem with Frank Wright, he does have a tendency to shut down at multiple times. I've seen it in the AFC South where he literally gave up a game against my Houston Texans trying to go for it on the 4th down. So he could be concerned. All that. Also, the Colts, had a great offensive line. They had a top 10 defense, so he did have a lot to kind of work with this year with DJ Moore as a receiver, who's going to be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. I know you got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is not a good quarterback. He's a trash. He sucks at quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. You got Matt Corral. It'll be interesting to see him come back off the injury. Would you give him an opportunity? The quarterback room is definitely questionable, but I would love to see them run it back with Steve Wilks. I think he was 4-2 in his time, and we thought, when they was going to trade away everybody, we thought they were going to trade away the whole team at first. They was on the verge of trading away a whole team. They was asking a lot for Brian Burns, but after that firing and Steve Wilks came in that locker room, that team was rejuvenated. You can see DJ Moore start playing better. Sam Darnold even played a little better, and it came down to the last game of the season for Tampa Bay to put up almost 40 points on the Panthers just to beat them. The Panthers got off to a good start in that game. They got off to a 14-0 start in that football game. So at the end of the day, I thought Steve Wilks should have got another opportunity to run it back. But like I said, I'm not mad at the hire from for them. I think it's an okay hire, but his conservativeness for Frank Reich, his ability to have questionable play calling when you need him the most. I thought they should have actually run it back with Steve Wilks. I thought he had a great run with him. It was just that one loss, and they fell one game short of the playoffs with Tampa Bay. The last game was pretty much the last game before the season. And then they won the last game. They actually won the last game too as well. So they finished strong, man. I think they finished strong. They finished pretty strong. I think Steve Wilks got another opportunity.
What I never understood when he was coaching the Colts is why did he abandon the run game as much as he did when he had a running back like Jonathan Taylor? And Jonathan Taylor was coming off one of the best season of his NFL career. But yet you go away from the run game and you call more passing plays. That was always puzzling to me with Frank Reich. But I kind of also understand why he landed the job in Carolina. Look, he has maintained several ties with Charlotte to the Charlotte area. This is a guy who quarterbacked the team in the inaugural season. He threw the first 3 passes, if my memory serves me correctly. I also believe his daughter works in the Panthers marketing department. So there's some ties there. And he's not a bad coach, and I get what you're saying, Coach. I understand where you're coming from. Steve Wilks definitely deserves a coaching job because he showed that he can maintain a winning culture. He showed that when he took over, and a lot of the players listened to him. A lot of the players actually endorsed him. They felt like he was deserving of the head coaching job, and they honestly believed that he should have had the interim tag removed from his name. And I will say that he's deserving of another coaching job. But I think Wright must have said something that the Panthers wanted to hear in the interview. During the interview, he must have came into that interview with a vision and with a plan and with ideas. Now I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Does he have the pieces around him to succeed? Absolutely, because this team has a nucleus. And like you said, they showed that they can win games towards the end of the season. They kind of compiled some victories there. But Wright had a winning record. The guy had a winning record in Indianapolis. He compiled a 40-33-1 mark and led Indianapolis to a playoff berth, to two playoff berths in 2018 and 2020. 2020. Yeah, 2020. And he got to the playoffs with Phillip Rivers, but then Carson Wentz comes to town. The team kind of unravels. They didn't get off to a fast start this season. It was a horrible start to the season. And then Jim Irsay decides to pull the plug on him earlier in the season. He gets fired after a horrific start to the season. And sometimes I think you just run out of luck in the city and you need a change of scenery. You need a fresh start. And now he's getting a fresh start with the Carolina Panthers. And I do think he will turn it around. Now, I do think that, you're going to need a quarterback because that's the thing, right? The Carolina Panthers, they don't have a quarterback. So what do? Do you maybe trade up to get a quarterback in the upcoming draft? I think that's the step they're going to take. They're going to try to move up in the NFL draft. They're going to try to trade up in the NFL draft so they can land a quarterback. I think that's the route they're going to take. A lot of people are saying Carson Wentz is going to end up being the quarterback in Carolina because we all know that Frank Wright groomed him and helped with his development. And what people forget, though, is that Frank Wright was also one of the masterminds behind the Eagles winning in 2017. So he's a brilliant mind. I think he will do a good job there. But the thing that he's going to have to get away from is being conservative. I think that's what hurts him the most. And if he has a strong running back, you got to give him more carries. You got to let him move the ball on the ground. And that's something he didn't let Jonathan Taylor do because he was more obsessed with the passing game than he was the running game. And I think that's what hurt him the most. And I think he got a lot of that blame for what happened in Indianapolis when there was more problems with the team. You had offensive line woes. You have a Jim Irsay now who, to me, is becoming Jerry Jones 2.0. I think he needs to fade into the background and let the general manager do his thing and stop trying to be so involved, because I think that's what's hurting the Indianapolis Colts as well.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about this situation, it's two things you can do if you're the Panthers. You need a quarterback. You just drafted one last year in Matt Corral, who did get hurt. You can either give him an opportunity, throw him out there, give him an opportunity, or you can either draft a quarterback. You can either draft a quarterback, but the problem is you just drafted one last year. So I can see them drafting a quarterback in the later rounds, but You can either stick with Sam Darnold, or you can either stick with Sam Darnold. I'd rather for them to get Matt Corral a chance, to be honest. Throw him out there and give him a chance to be honest. The Sam Darnold, you got to see what Matt Corral's at. You got to see can he get up on the field and handle the pressure and handle the fire. He has a very solid arm, and he's pretty accurate with the football. So it's either two things you can do. To me, you can just either throw Matt Corral up out there, or you can just drop the quarterback in the later rounds and just have a quarterback competition right then and now, or do you stick with Sam Darnold? So that's another third option in case the cover that, just in case you don't like your quarterback situation. You can always draft one in the later rounds, or if you feel if CJ Stroud or somehow Will Levis somehow fall down to you, do you take them? Do you take them with the pick? So that's questions that Frank Reich has to answer right there. And he is a quarterback guy. He played the quarterback position, so he got some choices to make at that quarterback situation. So those are the options you got. You throw Matt Corral out there, let him see what he has with a whole off season, a whole training camp, OTAs and stuff. And you can either draft the quarterback, or you can just keep Sam Darnold, just ride his hot hand from last year.
I think they draft with the ninth this coming draft. Drafting a quarterback, I don't know. I feel like there's other areas they can concentrate more, probably on the defensive side of the ball, because they lost a couple of key places. But I like Matt Corral. He was phenomenal at Ole Miss, and he deserves a shot to play here in the pros. So I think they should put their faith in Matt Corral's hands and go defense, kind of go defensive on that draft, because you have a lot of defensive players that are out there that are ready to go. So overall, I mean, I'm looking forward to see what Frank Reich can do there.
Yep. Let's see how it all works out for the Panthers as they embark on a new era. But now, fellas, we're gonna move on, and we're about to have some fun now, because we're about to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And man, when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, it's always interesting, right? It's always a life story about Aaron Rodgers. Right. I feel like he's always the story. Sometimes he hijacks the narrative, and he becomes a topic of discussion, which he's going to be a topic of discussion right now, because there has been a lot of talk about where would Aaron Rodgers land. Will he land with the Jets next season? Will he come back to Green Bay next season? Where is he going? Where will he end up? Do you guys see him landing with the Jets? I think it's a preferable place of choice for him, only because Nathaniel Hackett is there. It seems like everywhere Nathaniel Hackett goes, that's where Aaron Rodgers is gonna land. We thought that was gonna be the case last season when Denver hired Nathaniel Hackett, and that was the reason why I think the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett, because they were inclined to make a trade to acquire Aaron Rodgers. It never came to fruition. So Nathaniel Hackett became the coach. He did a horrible job in his first year as a head coach, got fired. So now he's going to be the OC in New York. And now suddenly Aaron Rodgers is linked to the Giants. Coach, what is your take on this?
My take, it very much can happen. Like I said, I can't predict what Aaron Rodgers is gonna do, because you never know. You remember that draft trade that was supposed to happen with San Francisco, and somehow that never intuition showed up. That was during the draft that it was coming out that Aaron Rodgers was gonna go to San Francisco, and that never happened. So at the end of the day, I think it's two places he can end up. Actually, I think it's two places he can end up, and I don't think Nathaniel Hackett deserved a head coaching job. I don't think he should have been a head coach. And a lot of speculations, that what you were saying is absolutely true. They expected to make a trade with the Green Bay Packers. They ended up getting Russell Wilson, and now they ended up everybody's fighting on the sideline. He couldn't control the team. He was one of the best coaches in the league of using timeouts the wrong way. Anytime you had to get a specialty coach come in to help you manage time of possession in a timeout, That's bad. That's something bad. That's a poor execute. Anytime you have to hire somebody to help you use your timeouts, so that's really bad. That's really bad right there. So he should have never got the head coaching job anyway. But he's a very good OC. He's a very good OC. That's his spot right there. Nothing more, not a head coaching job. But I think the Raiders is an option too, though. I think the Raiders is an option with his buddy Davante Adams. I think they're going to come to a decision with if they want to trade Derek Carr. They're going to trade Derek Carr. The Raiders are ready to move on from Derek Carr. I think the Raiders and the Jets is the best opportunity. I think the Jets is the best opportunity with Davante Adams in. But don't be surprised. The New York Jets are in now because of Nathaniel Hackett, the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett. And the receivers wasn't happy with Zach Wilson. And I see why they wasn't happy. I see why they wasn't happy at all. But yeah, I think the Raiders is another option that he can really go to as well.
You guys mentioned my Giants, man. I'm not sure if I want to see Aaron Rodgers there. To be honest with you, yeah, he's past his prime. He can go to the Jets. He can go to all the other teams. Stay away from my Giants. Yeah, stay away. He's toxic too, man. So I don't. It's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that I want to keep him in the organization. I mean, to be real, I hope we keep Daniel Jones. I know it's weird because I say it before on my show that when Daniel Jones was drafted, I was in the premiere for Avengers Endgame, and in the middle of the show, I'm like, who? You know what I'm saying? In the middle of that, after he got drafted. So yeah, just keep Daniel Jones. Aaron Rodgers can go somewhere else. I don't care where he goes. Just stay away from New York.
Yeah. Unless we got to put it in respect to King that Daniel Jones come from a trash Duke school. Duke is a garbage program as well. So,
right. So when he was drafted, I was thinking a point guard. Like, why are we drafting a point guard?
Yep, that's cool. I'm
a diehard Duke basketball fan, so I kind of resent that statement you made earlier. But with Daniel Jones, there's been so many, a lot more talent that was available at that time when we took Daniel Jones, and I kind of chalked it up to David Gettleman doing what David Gettleman does, I guess, trying to tear down the Giants organization. I'm so happy to see him gone. But I liked what I saw in Daniel Jones this season enough to want to keep him for at least 1 or 2 more years. But Aaron Jones, no. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers, please, depart from me.
That also with Daniel Jones, that also shows you what coaching can do too. But
right.
But back to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers to me is what you alluded to moments ago, King. He's toxic. I think he is washed up. I've been saying this for a long time, and Coach know I've been saying this about Aaron Rodgers. I even got some criticism for saying Aaron Rodgers is basically done. Someone told me I didn't know football because I said Aaron Rodgers is done. But Aaron Rodgers is done. It is what it is. Aaron Rodgers is too much of a diva. I hear all the time that he's hard to get along with, and I think Green Bay has had it with him. I think they're ready to end their relationship with him. I think they're heading for a divorce. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to come back next season because look, he has to decide if he wants to remain a Green Bay Packer. He still is under contract. He can still remain with the team. But I don't know if he wants to stay there. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, there's no way in hell I would have let Green Bay trade away my best receiver, Davante Adams. There's no way I would have let that happen. You let Davante Adams go to Vegas to team up with his former college buddy, Derek Carr, and Derek Carr gets sent home because he played poorly. So I mean, I don't understand Aaron Rodgers' mindset at times, and I don't think his mind is on football at this moment. I really don't. So I think if he goes to the Jets, I think that might be a bad move for the Jets. And just because Nathaniel Hackett is there doesn't mean that's the right move to make. And I just don't feel like Aaron Rodgers mindset is on football right now. Like
toxic.
Yeah,
He's like a
exactly.
jilted. He's like a jilted lover at this point.
It's an actual catch to both sides, Devontae Adams and Rodgers. So I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at it like this: if Aaron Rodgers don't get paid, who's throwing to Devontae Adams at the time? If Aaron Rodgers doesn't get paid and he decides to go somewhere, who's going to throw for Devontae Adams? Can you trust Jordan Love to throw at Devontae Adams, someone that hasn't seen only seen preseason defense and only seen off-season snaps? But on the other end, you pay Aaron Rodgers, not Devontae Adams. He beats production. He beats productive. He's still the same Devontae Adams. He's going to beat Devontae Adams because he's probably the best receiver in football. But not only that, the Raiders have a down year, and Derek Carr stinks worse with Devontae Adams. So I think it's both sides. They had a decision. They made a decision to keep Aaron Rodgers, and I think Devontae Adams got pissed off because he wanted to get paid. He definitely deserved to get paid. He definitely deserved his money. Deserved his money. But now I'm looking at, if Aaron Rodgers go, I got to trust Jordan Love to throw me the football. So I think that's kind of a huge drop off. I'll say I definitely agree on Aaron Rodgers. He's definitely toxic. He did come out and say he do not like his receiving core. He's not a big fan of Romeo Doubs. He comes out and say that. You don't supposed to come out and say nothing about that.
You're the quarterback. You're the leader of that. You're the leader of that team.
Right. Keep that behind closed doors. Don't let that leak out publicly. Don't air your dirty laundry out there. And that's what he did. But he did develop some type of chemistry with Christian Watson. I was surprised by that. But I think as a veteran quarterback, as a seasoned quarterback, you're supposed to. And I know it's not his job description, but you should take the initiative to want to help these guys thrive. If those are your receivers and those are the guys you're going to be throwing to, don't you want to kind of mentor them and help them grow as wide receivers? And that's something he didn't do, and he had that attitude.
To Freddie point, he said, did he lie? Like I say, the receivers started getting better at the end of the season. Christian Watson had 7 touchdowns. Christian Watson was terrible at the beginning of the year. He came on late. In the year. Romeo Doubs was really good later in the year. So he had a respectable receiving core he can work with. They just took some time to start coming on. He had one of the probably a top 10 tight end in the league, and Robert Tonyan. He's pretty solid. It took them some time coming on. They wasn't that bad. Their surroundings wasn't all that bad. They just didn't click earlier. They just didn't click early as we all supposed to thought. They just didn't click early enough.
It wasn't early enough for Aaron Rodgers.
Terrible too. The offensive line put them in some tough spots as well. Green Bay had a lot of problems. Green Bay had problems. Had a number of problems.
In and out throughout the season, they had plenty of problems. And those problems started with number 12.
Right. Yep. Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
The diva that he is.
Tell you. Stay out of New York, buddy.
Yep. General Hospital for sure. If he goes to New York, he'll dominate all the tabloids.
Oh, for sure.
He'll be front page news for sure.
He'll be page 6 news like the entire
Jonathan up here talking, Freddie.
hey, check this out. I'm telling you, the members of the media will eat him alive in New York. They will make him retire for sure. He'll be like, I'm done with football. I'm out. He's out. I'll go chill on a boat somewhere or jump off a cliff and dive into the water or something.
Do some ayahuasca or something like that.
Well, fellas, it's been fun. It's been real. We reached the end of our show. We got about 4 minutes left. It was a blast, and I want to thank all the viewers out there for tuning in tonight, for watching. What's up, Mike? Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for jumping in, Freddie. We appreciate it. And you guys are more than welcome to chime in, give your thoughts, give your opinions. Hit us up, message us, and I really appreciate it. Guys, this was a great episode. Thank you guys for joining me for the premiere of the Judges Corner podcast. This is going to be a great year for us all.
Yep.
This is gonna be an awesome podcast. We kicked ass tonight. We did a tremendous job on this podcast, and I want to thank the fellas for joining me. I want to thank Coach and King for being in the building with me tonight. None of this would be possible without them. So I'm humbled and I'm flattered to be able to work with this wonderful team of podcasters. This is awesome. This is awesome stuff, fellas. We'll do it again. And we'll do it consistently on a consistent basis, and we will continue at this. Thank you, guys. I want to let you guys have the floor now. King, I'll go to you first. Tell everyone where they can find you and what you got going on.
Okay, all right. It's King Hooley, man. I am the host of the Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. You can find us anywhere on any platform that you listen to podcasts. Reach us on our website, www.truthbetoldsportspodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and at Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. On Twitter, we are TBTS Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and follow me on TikTok at King Hooley _26. That's the Roman numeral 26, XXVI. Hey, it was a pleasure being a part of this podcast. I look forward to doing more shows and putting our names out there. Shout out to Freddie, man. Shout out to the Sports Empire Network. Shout out to the Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. I'm happy to be here. What's up, Coach?
Yeah, man. What's up, man? Shout out to Jonathan for allowing me on, man. Y'all know y'all can find me here on the Sports Judge every Friday night. Sports Empire play-by-play commentary. The guy. Coach Dante YouTube channel. Y'all can find me just everywhere, but mainly right here doing play-by-plays and here with Jonathan every Friday night on the Sports Empire Network. So shout out. It's been a great show, man. Been a great blast.
Yes.
And make sure you guys follow and hit the subscribe button and like this podcast, and make sure you guys follow the Sports Empire Network. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel as well. We want to thank our viewers for joining us tonight. And before I go, I just want to say where you guys can find me. You guys can find me on various platforms. I'm all over the place. You guys can find me on Instagram, SportsJudge85. You guys can find me on Twitter, SportsJudge85. You guys can also connect with me on my Facebook fan page, The Sports Judge. That's where I'm mostly active. You guys will find memes there. You guys will find short take videos from me. All that good stuff. I post a lot of content there, so you guys want to check that out as well. And you guys can also find me on YouTube. I got a YouTube channel. Yes, that's right. The Sports Judge. Check that out as well. Till next time, you guys take care of yourselves. You guys be well. You guys be cool. And we're out of here now. Thanks, everyone.